Okay, here we go. Weighted mean. There are two types of weighted means that we're going to talk about. And I will just make a little arrow here. We're going to do percentages. And the other one is when you have repetition. And the best way to distinguish is to just be like, look for percentages. If there are percentages present, you are in this camp right here. Okay. All right. In a weighted mean, there are weights associated with different categories. So points are not all of equal values. That's something to remember. That's how we as teachers grade you. We have tests are worth more than quizzes. Quizzes are worth more than ACs, and so forth. Teachers might assign different weights to different parts of the student's grade, right? Assignments might be worth 45%, quizzes 15, exam would be 40%, which is yours is just 20, right? In this case, each data point is worth a percentage of the total, right? Each point is worth a percentage of the total. And here it is one more time in a summarized way, right? Weighted mean, calculated when certain data entries are worth more than others. Okay. So first thing is percentages, weighted mean involving percentages. When you notice a table with percentages, there it is again, check to see if the row or column adds up to 100%. If the answer is yes, then we divide our final sum by 100, just like that. Got the choppers on the outside. So let's do an example right off the bat. Before we start the example, I will tell you this is a cookie cutter approach to every single weighted mean question. These are the steps. Multiply, add, then divide. Just like that. If you follow these three steps, and if you're careful along the way, because I'll show you what you need to watch out for, that's basically it. So what do I mean by that? The first step is multiply. So these are two different categories. You will multiply across like this. So you multiply across like that. So you can tell in this particular chart, right, we have the actual scores the student got in each category and what the weight was. And you can tell that the heaviest weight is put on the exam, right? That's where it counts the most. So if you do bad on the exam, it's going to affect you most, right? If you don't do so well on assignments and quizzes, they're not worth quite as much. Anyways, then you need to add. So let's go ahead and do that. I will start my calculations with WM for weighted mean. It is still an average. We're still finding an average. And I just show my work like this. 45 times 15 plus 39 times 20. Like I multiply like this, right? Plus 85 times 25 plus 90 times 40. So you're actually now doing two steps. This line here shows two steps, multiplying and adding. So I'm going to highlight add with green and just show, hey, that's what we're doing here. We're now adding our products. When two numbers multiply, the answer to those two numbers multiplying or more is called a product. And the last thing is you want to divide. And here's where you need to check. You need to check for both our percentages, right? I'm going to highlight that with yellow. And you have to check, do they add up to 100? If you go in within that category, let's do a quick check. If you add 45, 39, you know already you're going to be over quite quickly. You're going to figure out, you know what, I'm way over. I'm at 259% if I add up this category here. Okay, so that's 259%. So, right, you would not be dividing by 100 as it stands. Let's try the next row. 15 plus 20 plus 25 plus 40. It does add up to 100. Therefore, right, we divide by 100. It won't always be, right? But there it is. In this case, you just go ahead and divide. So the last step is to divide, and we're gonna divide whatever we have here by 100. Okay. So I will take my time with this. I don't want to rush, but you could, if you have a good calculator, you could probably type in the top as is and get one big number. But I'm going to break this down. 675 if I multiply these two. 780 if I multiply these two. And add. Make sure you add. I've had students multiply whatever they get here. They multiply everything again. They get this huge number, right? Your calculator won't be able to handle it even. This is 2125, and the last one here is 3600. You could tell actually right here that the exam is going to give this student the biggest boost, 3600%, right? If you lay it all out, you can clearly tell here, hey, the exam is going to help you the most because you scored 90% on that. Divide all of this by 100. And then your last line is just add everything up at the top, and that gives you 7180 divided by 100. And now you're ready to answer. 71.8% is the overall score. Overall average for Janice. So 3 steps: multiply across, add that up, then divide. Okay. Next, calculate Janice's average score if every category weight the same. Why is the weighted mean greater? So if assignment, quiz, midterm, they're all considered the same. We basically ignore the weight. So we would just go like this. We would go 45 for assignments, 39 for quizzes, 85 for midterm, and 90 for exam. So you'd literally just add those up and then divide it by 4, right? That's it. That is 259 divided by 4, which gives you, in this case, 64.75%. This would have been her mark had every category just been considered the same weight. So we don't even bother putting a weight on them. Just go ahead and add what you got. Boom, 64.75. Why is it? Why is it that this is greater than this? Why is it that the weighted mean is greater? The answer lies in because of the heaviest weight being attributed to the exam, and Janice having scored the highest on that heaviest weight, that is why your weighted mean is higher. That is the reason why. So we're going to explain that. This is due to the fact that Janice scored the highest in the category that weighed the most. That's why. You can even argue she did pretty good on the midterm, which was worth 25%. This is percentage, guys. Now we're going to do a repetition question together. So I'm skipping a little bit. I know that. And on Monday, I'm going to find a way to give you maybe a little bit of work time to practice this. Here's what I'm going to tell you. For homework, try this one here on page 40. I'm just going to go homework just next to that one. Try to see if you can do the same. It's devices per household. There's percentage in there, so watch out. And then come with me. Keep going, keep going. We're going to go straight to page 44. Bottom of 44. That's the question I'm going to do with you. However, can you go with me just to the top, just to highlight the fact that, right, this is weighted mean including repetition, right? Repetition. So you can look at it as, look at this data set. There's repeated values, right? A bunch of 4s, bunch of 7s, bunch of 9s. There's lots of repetition. This is very time consuming. Way too much time spent on this. Okay. So instead, right, we will combine that into a chart. Watch this. Here we have a chart that deals with the number of hours studied per week and how many students. So for example, what this chart is saying, you're following me, right? I know it's Friday, guys. But we're saying that 120 students answered 3 as the hours studied. Can you imagine? You record this 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 120 times. Good luck with that, right? This is much faster. Okay? So what we're going to do here is, where are the steps again? Multiply, add. This is free, guys. I made this up. Free. You can use it. It works like a charm. Okay. Every single time, if you just know what you're doing and you know when to apply it, it works great. Okay, so here we go. We have to multiply first. So what does that mean? It's a vertical table like this. So you have to multiply across like this. So I actually like to circle them like that. We're going to multiply them. Let's do that first. And then the second step was to add. Right? Those two can be done almost without thinking too much about it. You just go for it. You're going to have to do that. So let's write this down. Weighted mean is 120 times 3 plus 280 times 4 plus 90 times 5 plus 30 times 6. Voila, you're done. This is where it gets tricky, dividing. This is where it gets tricky. Here you have to pay attention. This is where we change the course a little bit. Divide gets pink, right? We do get that line there. However, what do we divide by? Is it going to be this row or this row? And here's where you have to do a unit analysis. Oops, sorry guys. It's Friday. There. Unit analysis. So this is what that means, okay? It's not a stretch, but what have you been multiplying so far? You've been multiplying students times hours, correct? That's what you've been doing so far. What do you need to divide this by so that you can cancel out one of these units on top? And you're like, scratch, scratch. What do you mean with that? Okay, what do we want left? Read carefully. Calculate the average number of hours. So you want hours to be left over. So we're going to have to divide by the number of students. If you do that, you get to cancel out students with students. Get rid of students. No, I'm just kidding. In this case, right? We cancel students and you're left with hours because that's what you ultimately want. So I'm going to use the same highlighter I used for divide and make a little box here under students. And I'm going to add that up. So you grab your calculator or use mental math, whatever works for you. So I'm going to go 120 plus 280 plus 90 plus 30. And that gives me 520. I'm going to write that down here. Total number of students. That's what I'm finding there. I don't care about the hours, adding up the hours. I just added up the students. I don't know. I felt like going with a pink all here, like highlight the whole thing. But I don't know. You do whatever you need to do to make sense of it. Okay. So then we take this and put it underneath here. Okay. And now we're basically wrapping this up. I just need the key in front of me because it will take too long if I do it. So you get 2110 if you were to add this all up, divide it by 520, and that gives you 4.06 hours per student. So on average, a student on this, in this campus or this college or school, 4 hours per student. Is that accurate to say every student is doing 4 hours? No, but it's a good measure. You could go to a different school, ask them, collect your data there, and maybe find out, hey, they're doing 4.5 hours, right? So overall, you see that there's more studying happening there. I will ask you to do one question based on this as well. And I will say page 47. Go to 47, and I'll put homework there. But this is what I'm going to post. Watch. I'm going to post page 45 to 47. I'm going to post the key all the way from 45 to 47 if you want to know if you understand with or without table, because sometimes I don't have a table. Okay, sometimes I don't. The province wants you to be able to do both, right? It could just give you all this information in a word problem, right? So that's it. That's all.